This is Tom Kane, the voice of Yoda in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
We have often been asked, where do we get the ideas for our stories? So on this program, we will try to answer in part this question, and that you will find here a place of knowledge and happiness. During the last few years, we've ventured into a lot of different fields. We've had the opportunity to meet and work with a lot of wonderful people. I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
What I love about the archives is the tangible connection to the past, is the tangible connection to these things that have taken on such mythic proportions. It's also a great pleasure coming to work into the Frank G. Wells building and walking through the lobby and seeing the exhibit that the archive puts up. One exhibit that I loved was the 35th anniversary of Epcot, and being able to be on my way to and fro for some big important meeting or another and looking across the lobby and going, is that the guy that blew on his foot from World of Motion? Oh my gosh, he's in this lobby that I work in.
Where do you come from? Classified, really? Me too. Big secret. Nima Outpost is that way. Stay off Kelvin Ridge. Keep away from the sinking fields in the north. You'll drown in the sand.
Walt Disney was one of the first people to pull back the curtain and show how movies and television were made, which I was fascinating because at the time, even then I didn't know if I wanted to be an actor, but I wanted to be in the business of making that magic. You know, he was very clever.
This is Ashley Eckstein, Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to Coffee with Kenobi. This is your bi-weekly, spoiler-free place for Star Wars community and conversation. I'm your host, Dan Zare, delighted to talk Star Wars with every one of you. Since May of 2013, whether you are a fan of Star Wars films, Disney Plus live action and animation, books, comics, collectibles, or Star Wars experiences at the Disney theme parks, on Coffee with Kenobi, you are among friends as we virtually share a cup of coffee while talking about this galaxy far, far away. Thank you to the official travel partner of Coffee with Kenobi, MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Check out coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel for a no-cost, no-obligation quote, and let them know Coffee with Kenobi and Dan Zare sent you. On today's show, we've got a really special treat for you. I am live, or recorded it live, I should say, at the Disney 100, the exhibition in Chicago last week to preview and talk with some amazing guests, including members of the Disney Archives and the Little Mermaid herself, Jodi Benson from 1989's The Little Mermaid. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite coffee mug, and let's have some coffee with Kenobi. First, I spoke with the member of the Disney Archives. His name is Matthew Adams. First up, Matthew Adams, a manager in exhibitions for Walt Disney Archives, and Kevin Kern, who is a regional manager from the Walt Disney Archives. Both really awesome guys, very informed about what's going on. They live this stuff, they breathe this stuff, and they love this stuff, and I think you will really enjoy their insights.
Whoa, this is amazing.
Hey, Don, I'm up here.
Kevin, how you doing?
Good, nice to see you.
I'm here with Kevin and Matthew at the Disney 100 exhibition. Gentlemen, first of all, welcome to Coffee with Kenobi.
Hello there.
Look at that, Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, this thing is clearly a labor of love. Kind of talk to me about the process of how this came to fruition.
I mean, it started probably 4 or 5 years ago. You know, the company was very aware that the 100th anniversary was coming up. So they approached the archives and said, we want to do an exhibition on all of Disney, all of the past 100 years. And so for the past 4 or 5 years, that's what this team has been working on. And it has been a labor of love because there's so much to include. We wish we could include everything, but we've included as much as we possibly can. And there's something here for everyone from 2 to 99. So
Props, costumes, attraction vehicles, original art, a little bit of everything. It really is kind of a one-stop shop to see some truly remarkable historical objects that you're not going to get to see anywhere else.
And the beautiful thing is the way it's it's laid out. Of course, it's museum quality. Plus, when you've got that Disney touch, you know it's something special. But I am fascinated by what must have been like to narrow down what items you wanted to include.
It's almost impossible to start that discussion. You know, we have such a rich collection in the archives. You know, we have to thank our lucky stars that Dave Smith, Disney legend, founded the department in 1970, and our leader today, Becky Klein, has been so forward-thinking in a lot of the materials that we've been saving. And between, you know, the exhibits team and all of Matthew's work and everything that our research team and our collections team has done, it really is a group effort. And it's hard to come back and have to think, oh, we only have a set number of items that we can pick. But what we did choose, I think, is such a beautiful cross-section of company history, and you're not going to find that anywhere else, right? We're uniquely suited in that we can tell that story because we have access to that.
And it was also highly collaborative. I mean, we talk about cross-company effort. You know, we, as the archives, you know, produced the exhibit, but we also worked with Walt Disney Imagineering. We worked with the animation studio, Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilm. So every, you know, facet of the company was involved in this in some capacity.
So are there certain aspects that were very, because obviously if people are in the Midwest, like we are here in Chicago, Illinois, go Cubs, the interesting thing is you want to capture the atmosphere of Disney and what that means, as you said, from ages 2 to 99. What are some ways you feel like, I know what I think, but I'm curious to see what the two of you are the most proud of or how you're able to capture that Disney magic here for the 100th.
I think for me, one thing I'm very proud of, having worked across the team, right, in many different ways, is just the volume of information that you're going to find here. There's a lot to read, there's a lot to watch, there's a lot to take in, hundreds of media clips that, you know, folks on our team spent hundreds of hours preparing. You know, it really is something special to step back and think, oh wow, I can see original art and I can see this wonderful media that comes out of that. So just the breadth of it is something that I'm personally very proud of having been a part of.
And I think for me, one of my most things I'm excited about is the way that we're presenting a lot of this material. You know, it's not a stuffy museum exhibit where it's just white walls and you're just looking at frames and things and cases. Things are displayed in really interesting ways, and there's a lot of, you know, interactivity and immersive moments that are mixed in that really bring those assets to life in ways that they couldn't be otherwise.
So Matthew, you're saying to someone, hey, you got to come check out the Disney 100 exhibition here in Chicago. What are some key things that you would point out that you think are must-sees? I mean, it's all a must-see, but there's some things that really stand out.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many must-sees. I mean, how much time do we have? I would say, you know, for me, I'm a big parks person, so I'm really into the attraction vehicles that are in our parks gallery. But, you know, a lot of the older stuff, too, like this Western Union telegram behind you, that's a lot of historical documents and a lot of things from the Steamboat Willie script, you know, where that's basically the birth of Mickey Mouse. So things like that you're just not going to see otherwise. Those are the things you don't want to miss.
I guess I'll supplement that by saying there's several items in the exhibit that date to like a Walt in the room era, right? Like things that Walt Disney actually held on screen on television or used during production. And especially here in Chicago, how fitting is that to have a direct tie to Walt Disney again in this place? It's a really special moment.
So naturally, because you're on Coffee with Kenobi, I've got to bring up Star Wars. There are some amazing Star Wars pieces that are completely fascinating. You mentioned, you know, Walt having hand. There's some things here that Daisy Ridley and Mark Hamill have handled and used in films like The Last Jedi or The Rise of Skywalker. Talk about the Star Wars influence here.
You know, this exhibit has to celebrate all branches of Disney history, and the Lucasfilm and Star Wars legacy, of course, is a big part of that. You know, anytime you have production-used material, things that were used on set, like that BB-8 puppet that we have, how special is that to have something literally that's plucked from the screen for you to see up close? You know, a lot of times you'll see that material in the movie for a split second, so to be able to stand there and study it and look at all those details, you don't get that opportunity very often.
I would agree. I mean, I'd bring up the Jedi textbook there, and there's so much detail. It's handcrafted right there, and you're just not going to... You can appreciate it on screen, but looking at it up close, there's really no substitute for that.
One thing that I think our staff were huge fans too. So during the curatorial process, or even in just the research process of cataloging these things, we geek out over getting to hold this and inspect this stuff. And The Jedi Tech's a good example. Other prop books from movies. We have the original prop book from Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. The artistry and detail that is involved in all of it, it really is its own art form. And that's really something else that we get to celebrate by displaying them in this way.
So art form, I'm glad you brought that up because that's part and parcel of what the Disney Corporation means. But to me, the lighting is so important because you want to light it in such a way that you emphasize and spotlight the beautiful pieces themselves. But you also do it in such a way that if some amateur photographer like me takes a picture, it looks like I know what I'm doing, but I'm actually not. What are some of the secrets behind something like that?
So, we work very closely with a licensee on this project, Semmel and Studio TK. They took the lead on the design, but worked very closely with us at Walt Disney Archives because, obviously we know the history, but they helped us out in terms of the layout and design and fitting everything into this and presenting everything in ways that are really compelling. Like I was saying earlier, not just the traditional museum exhibit. We really wanted to add a lot of drama and theatricality to it.
And anytime you can display anything from our collection is a rare treat, right? We're primarily an internally focused team. We support all of the cast members, employees, and Imagineers around the company. But getting to engage with the public and in such a forward-looking exhibit like this, it means a lot, and we take that very seriously. So the detail that you're pointing out, for me, is personally really gratifying to hear because it means that we're doing our job as best as possible.
I would say you've nailed it. And just a couple final things. I know your time is valuable. The interactivity here is even cooler than I would have imagined. Talk about some of the feature things that you can do to be a part of this experience.
I think it's all about learning more about what you're looking at, right? Like the educational component of, say, the sound gallery, right? The magic of music. You can listen to a song from Frozen in many different languages, or sound effect props. You can see how the sound for Tinkerbell was made. Anytime that you can look at the object and not only contextualize it, but see it in action or learn how it was used, I think is a much more meaningful experience for lots of people.
Absolutely, and similarly with the Cinderella prop book interactive, where you're able to literally turn the pages and see them animate in front of you in a way that you never have before.
Wonderful. Yeah, I would love to keep talking, but I'm going to look around and explore some more. How long will this wonderful exhibit be in Chicago, and what is the future like?
Yeah, so this will be here until spring of next year, and then it will go to Union Station in Kansas City.
So there's a lot more magic to come, so stay tuned.
Thank you both so much for being on Coffee with Kenobi.
Thank you.
I just don't see things the way he does. I don't see how a world that makes such wonderful things could be bad. Look at this stuff.
So here we are at the Disney 100 exhibit, and I am here legitimately. This isn't hyperbole, folks. I'm here with a Disney legend. Jodi, Benson, welcome to Coffee with Kenobi.
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. We're really excited about the exhibit, so it's great.
It's so great. Plus, it's kind of nice. I was talking to the archivist earlier. It's kind of nice to have something in the middle of the United States because we can't always get to the theme parks on both coasts, so now we've got something beautiful here in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just going to be so magical for everybody to walk through, see the history of our 100 years, and see what Walt's vision was all about.
Yeah, so as you find out about this and you explore it, what are some of the things that really catch your eye?
I think it's just being able to kind of walk back in time and get the actual authenticity of everything when you start to see the costumes and the props and just the different maquettes, and it's really amazing to be able to walk along the journey. And it kind of helps you understand the process of how everything was made.
Mm-hmm. It does, and you're just sort of overcome. I mean, I don't have to tell you this, but you're just so overcome by how much of an impact Disney has had on so many generations of people.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing, is we want to be able to teach and educate the next generation to be able to enjoy everything that we grew up with.
So when you look back, it's hard. When I interview someone like you, because you're such an icon in the world of Disney, you've probably been asked a million different questions about, of course, your role, not only with Ariel, but with Barbie as such an icon. So what a refreshing thing. And thank you for all the amazing things that you've done for us. Not really a question, more just of a thank you.
Yeah, well, that's very kind of you. I love my job. I love everything that I've been able to do over the last 37 years with the company. And I love my characters, and it's just great to be part of the legacy of our company. I really, to be part of the family is incredible.
So as you were voicing Ariel, what is sort of your mindset when you get into the role of that character? I know there's a script and the directors, but there's got to be something that turns on within you to make that happen.
She needs to be real and vulnerable, and when I'm recording her, which is, very frequently with all of our different ancillary products and our different video games and things through the park, I need to make sure that when you hear her, you remember the first time that you saw the film. I mean, that's really my job, is to be able to recreate that moment that you had.
I love that. And then, of course, when you think about the impact that Ariel has had on so many people, you are a major, major part of that. So many kids have just been transcended because of Ariel and who she is, someone who follows her dreams, follows her passions, and we know, as human beings in the real world, sometimes the world isn't always that kind to you going sort of outside the box of what is perceived as normal. What a cool, inspiring character she is for that reason.
Yeah, and I love Ariel. I love her passion and her vulnerability. I love that she's curious and that she reaches for things that are beyond herself. And to try to dream for something outside of the box is really very brave. And I just absolutely love her. And
I think it was last year, maybe. Did you go to Peoria, Illinois, and you did a concert? I had a good friend, John Alois, who saw you, and he just said you were just even more amazing. How perfect this song!
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. Yeah, I had a great time with the symphony last December, and it was so much fun. I love getting to sing any type of music, but holiday music is extra special. So.
It's not a joke. It is the most wonderful time of year.
It is.
So when you are performing, whether it's in a studio to voice Ariel or one of your amazing characters, what is it like for you? Is it a very different thing to be in front of a crowd and just singing your heart out?
It's kind of what I was born to do, and I feel that when I'm singing, it's just that opportunity for me to be able to tell the complete story of who I am through song and through lyric, and it's an incredible way to express myself, and it's really comforting to me when I'm singing because it's what I know that I was really gifted to be able to do, and it's such a beautiful way to be able to connect with an audience.
Yes, well, I was once told that when you sing, you pray twice. So when you said that, I thought, wow, you're really telling the story in an extra special way when you sing, when you perform.
Right. That's a beautiful way to look at it. It is a form of worship for me because I do know that God's really given me a special gift, and when I'm using it and I share it, it's very fulfilling.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
It seems like such a silly thing to ask, but I'm asking, what are some highlights for you? I mean, becoming a Disney legend, being a part of that had to be very, very high on the list.
Yes, it was a huge surprise, an incredible experience. I'm so honored to be a Disney legend, to be part of the legacy of the family, and I'm blown away when I think about it. And it's a huge honor, but again, a huge surprise. So that made it extra special.
Yeah. Well, your humility and grace are no surprise
kind.
To me. Well, hey, it's easy to tell the truth. So, of course, I've got to ask you something Star Wars related because you're on Coffee with Kenobi. So, what is your opinion of Star Wars? Are there any of the movies or moments that kind of stand out for you or your family?
Probably the very, very first time to see now I don't know in the chain of all the movies what the very first one was and what year it was, but I just remember being blown away by all the special effects and the characters. And Chewie's pretty amazing, so when I'm walking through the park and I get to see Chewie, that's a highlight for me.
Absolutely. Well, that actually, when you talked about it made me think about technology. How have you seen technology and the modifications, the improvements in technology, how have you seen that impact your role as a creator and a talent?
Well, I think we just add level upon layer and layer, really, of storytelling. So for our original film, obviously things have changed so drastically because we're the last hand-painted, hand-drawn. But to see where we are today with CGI and 2D is incredible. And it's just another layer of storytelling, It gives a different element, and it's pretty incredible. But the oldies are good too.
Yeah, there's nothing. I still remember the first time I saw The Little Mermaid, and I was with my family, and I remember my grandma just, she'd seen so many Disney movies over the years, but there was something about The Little Mermaid. I have goosebumps when I'm saying this. I just remember thinking, this is a moment. This is a real moment. And then, years later, you see it come on to live action, and what an amazing boon and a blessing that must have been for you.
Oh, yeah. The live action is a beautiful film, and we're so thrilled, so happy with the response. And it was an incredible day to be able to be there for the opening and the premiere in LA, and to just be able to celebrate the cast and the crew. And, we're just thrilled with the response.
Well, thank you. And Jodi, it's such a pleasure to be able to celebrate you and meet you. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. You have a wonderful day. Enjoy the exhibit.
This is Vanessa Marshall, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi.
We are here with a little bit of downtime before the main press presentation shows up, here with Brooke McDonald and Greg McLaughlin. Welcome back to the show, Greg, and Brooke, welcome to the show for the first time.
Thank you. Excited to be here and talking to you while we have some time. Yes,
and Brooke is pretty dynamic. You have been covering Disney theme parks and entertainment as a freelance writer, and you are an influencer very much so in your own right. And so you and I first met in London at Star Wars Celebration. What was that, March or April?
April, I think. Yep.
Yeah. And Coffee with Kenobi fans know Brooke really well because she was the savior who saved Ross Holloway a seat at the Ahsoka showing in Chicago.
But I didn't know that the seat was for him. I had my little guy who was 7 and not too big, and I just knew that there were fans waiting outside, and I figured if we could do a 2-for-1 and open up a seat, we would give it to somebody, and it ended up being Ross.
Yeah, it's like the Force was with him or something. Greg, I'm super glad that you're able to come up here and join me as we went through this exhibit. What are some things that have stood out for the two of you so far? We've been pretty busy doing interviews and getting some quick pictures and things, but I think it's a pretty remarkable place.
I think just seeing some of what they decided to put in the collection, and everything from sketches to some of the the props, and then that horse from Mary Poppins, those kinds of things. When you go this is the archive. This is some of their best, and it's really nice to see it. And I'm really happy that Chicago is on this list.
As am I.
I really like the way that they've approached the galleries. Taking a different focus, on the history component and Walt's early days. There's a room dedicated to the parks. There's a room really dedicated to character development, which I think is really fun and interesting. And then some of the physical props are incredible. The Sleeping Beauty, the book from the opening of Sleeping Beauty is amazing. There's a lot of interactivity. I was kind of keeping a close eye on how much it might engage my kids, who are 7 and 10. And I think any kid who's even remotely a Disney fan will find quite a lot to keep them engaged. There's some cool there's a little scavenger hunt that I guess you can get. I haven't picked one up yet, but it sounds like you can get a sheet and look for certain things. And then there's a little quiz component where there's a question, and then you look for the answer throughout the exhibit, and then you go find the answer, and you can check your answer with these little flip-up Mickey ear things. So there's some cool stuff for all ages here, I think.
I agree. One of the things I liked is that there's this place where there's this big digital table, and you spin it around, and there's one that's theme parks, one that's different animation stuff, and you select on the screen what you want to look at and talk about, and there's different trivia questions that are interactive that you can enjoy while you're going around the parks. They have these wonderful little, there's videos playing everywhere, and you pick up it looks like a little tiny doorknob, and it's magnetic, and you pick it up off the wall, and you just listen, and then when you put it back, you don't have to worry about fidgeting. It just sucks it right in because it's a magnet. But again, this is not really a surprise because it's Disney, and it's just really, really cool. One of my favorite things that I've seen so far, just being a pop culture guy, is Cap's shield. Of course, Rey's lightsaber from The Rise of Skywalker. Seeing that little porg, he's so cute, you just gobble it up. But that's some of the things that kind of jump out to me. And then the Mary Poppins carousel horse that Julie Andrews sat on, that's pretty crazy too.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love all of the theme park props. There is a Matterhorn ride vehicle, which is very cool. There is a Peter Pan ship ride vehicle. They have a cute little teacup that you can sit in just for a photo op. It's not the actual prop, but there's one of the little devil from Mr. Toad. So a lot of really fun stuff for Parks fans for sure.
You know, I think when you're talking about the nostalgia people have, regardless of where you grew up or where Disney falls in your life, those little pieces like you were talking about from like the Matterhorn or for seeing a porg, it's like there is something for everybody. But it's amazing what you can connect with. And I think that's what's nice is it's just not, this doesn't look like it's slapped together. There's a lot of thought, a lot of detail, even in the retail side of things.
Oh, yeah, and there is, of course, a merchandise shop with some exclusive things that just say Chicago on it, which is really fun. But I know we've got some more things we want to do. We want a lot more things we want to see. So we're going to take a quick little break, and we'll be back later. But Greg and Brooke, thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now a few words about the exhibit. This is the grand opening official ceremony and some great reflections and insights on what made this amazing experience come to life.
And Exhibitions Hub, I'd like to be the first to officially welcome you to Disney 100, the exhibition here in Chicago. This is a very exciting day, and we're thrilled to have you here. I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Lisa Deacon from World Business Chicago. This simply would have not happened without you. So welcome, Lisa.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here today to celebrate the opening of the Disney 100, the exhibition. I'm Lisa Deacon, Senior Vice President of Business Development at World Business Chicago, and it truly is an honor to be here for this special occasion. First and foremost, I want to express our appreciation to John Zeller and his team at Exhibition Hub for choosing Chicago and bringing this incredible immersive experience to our city. We are proud to have played a role in inspiring this endeavor and showcasing why Chicago is the perfect host for Disney 100. Today marks a homecoming of sorts, as the archive collection that forms the heart of this exhibition has roots right here in Chicago. It all began when the creative genius Walt Disney was born in the Hermosa neighborhood, just a few miles from where we stand today. Immersive experiences like Disney's have always found a warm and enthusiastic audience here in Chicago. We are a city of creators, doers, and innovators. I have no doubt that the Disney 100, the exhibition, will be a magnet for Disney fans from all corners of the globe. Chicago takes great pride in its rich legacy, and today we are incredibly proud to be chosen as the home for this world-class exhibit. We extend our sincere gratitude to Disney for this remarkable opportunity. I'd also like to highlight the global collaboration that made this exhibition possible. We have Semmel Exhibition from Germany, Exhibition Hub from Belgium, and Fever from Spain, all integral in choosing Chicago as the premier North American location. This underscores Chicago's status as a global business hub, and where companies from around the world recognize our city as the ideal place to connect across North America and beyond. On behalf of World Business Chicago, from Mayor Johnson, our board chair, to Melody Hobson, our vice chair, and the 100+ CEOs who comprise our board, along with our dedicated staff, I extend a warm welcome to all of you on the opening of this exciting exhibition. We are confident that you will soon discover why Chicago was named the best big city in the U.S. in 2023 and why it holds the title of the #1 top metro for site selection. Thank you for choosing Chicago as the home for Disney 100, the exhibition, and we look forward to a magical experience for all who visit. And now it is my honor to turn this over to Alderman Wagasback of the 32nd Ward.
Well, thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm pleased to be here today to help open this exhibit. I think for our community and for the whole Chicagoland community, we're very excited to see this type of this type of family-centered activity being able to be set up here, and the time frame that they did it was absolutely incredible. I know just a few months ago we had a conversation with John Zeller and his team, and when they first came in, they said, hey, we're going to be doing this, we'd like to have these things done by this date. And I think my staffer, Elizabeth, who's here, we kind of both looked at each other and said, that is a very short timeline. Are you sure you can pull this off? Lo and behold, they've exceeded expectations, and I think this says a lot about the teamwork and the effort that they put together to pull this exhibit together and put it in a location that I think will serve not just the thousands of people in this neighborhood, but tens of thousands and hopefully hundreds of thousands of people from all around Illinois and really the Midwest region. We have a lot of visitors to this neighborhood for a lot of different things, like Wrigleyville. I'll say the Chicago Fire too, but you know, when we look at this type of exhibit, I think the draw in the Midwest region is going to be just incredible, and I hope that it is a place that, as you look at old memories from the movies that we've seen, I was watching WGN this morning with Anna Bellaball from WGN, talking about the Cruella exhibit. That seemed to be one of her favorites, along with my wife Jade, so I know I'll be in here looking at that. But I think the new memories that will be created with a whole new generation of children and families that will come here will be very exciting for us, not only again in the neighborhood, but throughout the Midwest. And I'm very excited to have this in the 32nd Ward, have this in the city of Chicago, and I think on behalf of our residents and our retail establishments and the restaurants in this area that will hopefully be part of this boom in this neighborhood, we look very forward to the work that this team did, and as the exhibit moves forward, to sharing many, many memories for years to come. So with that, I will hand it off to Matthew Adams. He is the manager of all of the exhibitions, I understand, and I think he is very excited as much as I am to see this open today. So thank you very much.
Yes, every exhibition everywhere I am the manager of. Specifically, I am the manager of exhibitions for the Walt Disney Archives. And I have had the distinct honor of leading and working with my team at the Archives, as well as our partners at Simmel and Studio TK, to create the incredible exhibition that you all are about to see. And I want to give a special thanks to our Disney leadership, Michael Vargo, Becky Klein, and Joanna Pratt, and an extra special thanks to Disney legend Jodi Benson, the voice of Ariel from 1989's Little Mermaid. Thank you so much for being with us here today. So as you all may be aware, the Walt Disney Company recently just celebrated a historic milestone, which is our 100th anniversary. So in honor of a century of Disney creativity and unparalleled magic, the Walt Disney Archives is thrilled to share a once-in-a-lifetime exhibition celebrating the iconic characters and stories that have captured the hearts of audiences around the globe. Walt Disney once said, "I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse." But I think we all know that Walt was just being modest. It started long before Mickey Mouse whistled himself into our hearts. It started on October 16th, 1923, when a brilliant young man signed a contract to produce a series of silent cartoons. So to share the story of the Walt Disney Company since then, we've gone back to our roots and took a look at how Walt created his own special magic and how the philosophies that he developed in his time still inform every single thing that we do at the Walt Disney Company. So today we invite you to experience 100 years of magic like never before in 10 vibrant and interactive galleries. Each one is dedicated to Walt's own ideas and shows how those of us who follow in his footsteps continue to make Disney magic, building on the foundations that he established. And so now it's my pleasure to welcome my colleague, Kevin Kern, to the stage.
Matthew, for that wonderful exhibition framing. Museum pun, yeah. My name is Kevin Kern. I serve as Regional Archives Manager for the Walt Disney Archives. As one of our departmental historians, I also wanted to take a few moments to point out some of the important and formative connections Chicago has with the Disney legacy over the years. Now, our ties to the Windy City tread deep, going all the way back to 1890, when Walt's parents, Elias and Flora, along with their first son, Herbert, moved here from Florida. Working as a carpenter, Elias relocated his growing family here to the beautiful city by the lake in anticipation of work outfitting the Columbian Exhibition in 1893. Now, Elias would later build houses that he and Flora designed, including one in the Hermosa neighborhood, where our company founder and namesake Walt Disney was born, and which, believe it or not, only rests about 4 miles from where we regather today. To spotlight this, the very beginning of Walt's story, I actually want to turn the clocks back and take a cue from Roy, Walt's brother and business partner, and who was one of Walt's constant champions, who reminisced about this exact moment in a 1967 studio interview. I'm going to channel my best Roy here. He was born on a Sunday morning on the 5th of December, 1901 in Chicago, 1249 Tripp Avenue. My father built a house, 2-story frame, white and blue, gray trim, more or less the staid 2-story frame house of early America. Still there, still standing. If you look here, you'll see the house on the left. We have Walt's baptismal photo in the center. And that's Walt and his younger sister Ruth, on the porch of that very house. Now, Roy's words about their Chicago family home really struck me as we were reviewing them earlier this year. Still there, still standing, much like the company that he and his brother founded 100 years ago. In fact, the Disney storybook really opens here. Now, after moving to the small town of Marceline, Missouri in 1906, the Disney family returned to Chicago in 1917, with more memories to come for an impressionable young Walt. It was here that he purchased his first motion picture camera and began creating home movies. He attended McKinley High School and enrolled in night classes at the Chicago Academy of Fine Arts, which further introduced him to the trappings and toils of working as a professional artist, something he would pursue until moving to Hollywood in 1923. From there, after forming the Disney Brothers Cartoon Studio with his brother Roy, Disney's would end up revolutionizing the worlds of animation, filmmaking, and themed entertainment forever. Now, these are only a few of the connections between the many worlds of Disney and the great city of Chicago that exist. Examples all that are historic, important, and worthy of celebrating. Now, while Walt's story may have started here in Chicago, he was always adamant that the Disney story really was started by a mouse. Of course, we're talking about Mickey Mouse, whose own cinematic journey began 95 years ago, this coming Saturday, which is also opening day, November 18th, 1928, the debut of Steamboat Willie. Why don't we now take a quick look at Mickey's impact on the world.
The story of Mickey is truthfully the real beginning of Disney.
Hang on, pal. Here we go.
He started as this simple character, but over time he becomes this reflection of who we are.
After all the years, he's still here.
I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse.
Everyone, please welcome our friends Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. Please welcome our wonderful speakers and Disney legend Jodi Benson to the stage for our official ribbon cutting.
Okay, ready? Disney 100, the exhibition in Chicago, is now open.
Listening to Coffee with Kenobi, you are, with Dan Z, the podcast you're looking for. This is...
A big thank you to our guests on this special show today, Matthew Adams, Kevin Kern, Jodi Benson, Greg McLaughlin, and Brooke McDonald, as we talked about and I gave you some behind the scenes about the grand opening of the Disney 100 exhibit in Chicago, Illinois. If you want to find out more or buy your tickets and you're in the Chicago area, it is at the Exhibition Hub Art Center in Chicago. Tickets are selling fast. Be sure to get online and book your opportunity to experience that today. I want to thank all of you for joining me and have a happy and safe Thanksgiving. This is Thanksgiving Day, at least the day that this drops. And if you're joining us after the day the show drops, well, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you had a great Turkey Day. CoffeeWithKenobi.com is your place for Star Wars news, announcements, reviews, videos, and so much more. The official travel partner of Coffee with Kenobi is MEI and MouseFan Travel. Go to CoffeeWithKenobi.com/MouseFanTravel for a no-cost, no-obligation quote. They can help you plan your magical vacation to all things Disney, including the East and West Coast homes of Galaxy's Edge, Walt Disney World, and Disneyland. And if you're looking to book that Disney cruise, MouseFan Travel can help make things as easy as possible and give you that peace of mind we all appreciate when planning our family vacation. You are invited to join me Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time at coffeewithkenobi.com/live for CWK Live. Next week, we are going to continue our lessons on Aurebesh. We are going through each week learning a letter of the alphabet for Aurebesh. So if you're joining us and watching the video, whether it is live or later on Facebook or YouTube on our Coffee with Kenobi channels, you can learn to write and read Aurebesh too. Again, that is coffeewithkenobi.com/live on Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. The CWK Cafe is your Facebook group for Star Wars thoughts, comments, reviews, and opinions in a family-friendly, spoiler and drama-free place. A very special thank you. I'm very thankful for all of you on this Thanksgiving, but especially the members of the CWK Alliance. In fact, this podcast and website is possible because of the members of the CWK Alliance. Thanks to all of you, the podcast, CWK Live, event coverage, and so much more can come to life. Find out how you can help the show for as little as $1 a month by joining the CWK Alliance, and you receive access to CWK Pour-Over, an exclusive weekly audio and video podcast not heard anywhere else. Members at the CWK Alliance All-Star level receive a video edition of CWK Pour-Over and access to a private Facebook group as well. Plus, CWK Alliance Grand Masters join me for a monthly live video call. Go to coffeewithkenobi.com/CWK Alliance to find out more. And if you are interested or curious, you can find CWK Pour-Over on Spotify. And perhaps most importantly, 10% of your monthly contributions go directly to the St. Jude Children's Hospital. You can email me, danz at coffeewithkenobi.com, connect with me on Twitter at Mr. Zer, MRZEHR, on Instagram at danzercwk, or on LinkedIn. Coffee with Kenobi is on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok. You can give the show a like at facebook.com/coffeewithkenobi, or subscribe to Coffee with Kenobi's YouTube channel. Please take a couple of minutes to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Every review helps other people find out and learn about this show. If you're looking for a great Christmas gift idea or just want to wear the Coffee with Kenobi logo, you can go to coffeewithkenobi.com/shop for t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, and more. And finally, if you want to start a podcast or a blog, or you have one and want to expand your brand, you can go to danzmedia.com and I will help you get that process started. I am also available to come to your school, conference, business, or organization, talk about how to tap into your strengths and help you bring out your very best. Thank you as always for joining me for a virtual cup of coffee. I appreciate your time and look forward to the next opportunity to talk stars with each and every one of you. Again, have a wonderful, safe, and happy Thanksgiving, friends. I'm Dan Zer, reminding you that this is the podcast you're looking for.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.